My research project is social media and cultural identity, cultural belonging, and cultural involvement by the second generation Chinese Immigrant. It's a little bit long, but yeah, this keeps all the key concepts. At the very beginning, I will start with a short elevator pitch to give everyone a basic understanding of my research. So just imagine a young person is with a Chinese background. During the day, they
Speak a bit slow.
A young person each band with a Chinese background. During the day, they chat in Spanish with their classmates about the latest TikTok trends. But after school, they may switch to Mandarin or their hometown dialect to talk with their Chinese friends about maybe recent Chinese traditional festivals. This culture switching is a daily reality for this Chinese immigrant youth. And social media plays a key role in this process. It exposes them to both Chinese and Spanish cultures. And serves as the space where they express their identity and take a sense of belonging. And my research goes beyond the traditional view of identity as something fixed. I ask when cultural identity becomes a flexible filter that can be switched, how does social media shape the sense of belonging and acculturation of immigrant youth? So then the next question comes to what it is exactly. Different countries and cultures define youth differently. According to United Nations Habitat and China Statistics Bureau, youth refers to people aged 15 and above, but the upper age limit varies. Therefore, the age alone is not enough to define youth. Sociologist Border argues that youth is not just a natural life stage, but a social category shaped by society. Its boundaries and characteristics depend on social structure, economic conditions, and cultural backgrounds. So the youth for my research are those who actively engage in society and construct their own identities. From a psychological perspective, Erickson's stage of psychosocial development states that ages from 12 to 18 are crucial for identity formation. The key challenge during this stage is finding balance between identity and role confusion. In this phase, young people begin to ask themselves, who am I? And develop their self-identity. Considering all those perspectives above, I define youth in my study as those aged from 15 to 18, since this is a crucial period for identity exploration and self-understanding. After defining the scope of the research, this research focused on the following key objectives. The first, like the analyzing social media usage patterns. This study examines how 1.5 generation and second generation Chinese immigrant youth choose social media platforms and what's the difference of usage between different platforms and how these usage patterns influence their acculturation process. And second, exploring the impact of social media on cultural identity and cultural belonging. This research investigates the role of different social media platforms in shaping immigrant youth identity expression and examines the interaction between cultural identity and cultural belonging. And finally, identifying strategies to promote multicultural integrations. By analyzing this social media practice of immigrant youth, this research aims to identify key factors that support intercultural understanding and provide recommendations to reduce the acculturation challenges faced by those immigrant youth. To better understand the impact of social media, my research is based on several key concepts. So the first is acculturation. In the digital age, acculturation has gone beyond the binary choice of assimilation or persuasion. As a concept of transnational social field suggests immigrant cultural practice are no longer confined by geographic borders. Instead, social media weaves a dynamic network that connects both their home and host culture. Strengthens strong ties between generation and the weak ties which established online, creating a state of being both here and there. This is a new possibility enabled by information and communication technologies to make acculturation easier and reduce its cost. And recent Spring Festival Gala in Barcelona, organized during the Chinese New Year by the Catalonia Chinese Student Association with support from the Chinese Consulate in Barcelona, the Confucius Institute, and the Plaza Asia in Barcelona. demonstrate a practice of the idea of vernacular cosmopolitanism. In this party, both traditional Chinese culture and Spanish local elements were presented, fostering a two-way cultural exchange. This represents a new interpretation of cooperation in the digital era. It's not about compromise, but negotiation. It's not a separation, but a coexistence. Within this framework for Chinese immigrants, use cultural identity is not just choosing one culture or simply blending two cultures. Instead, it's a flexible and a situational process of negotiation. So in my recent initial conversation, most participants showed a tendency to present different identities on different platforms. Like, for example, one participant shared that she primarily communicates in Spanish with locals in WhatsApp, where she maintains a more professional image. But in on other platforms, she prefers to engage with Chinese content. So this phenomenon corresponds to transnational habitudes and media affordance. Immigrants can naturally carry their cultural habits across different environments, and the design and the features of social media platforms influence identity expression. The social media allows them to switch identities flexibly depending on the platform and audience. So when I talk about the cultural identity is not fixed, but a situational identity negotiation. And actually during the process of acculturation, the two key challenges faced by the young immigrants. One is what we just discussed about how to adjust their identity expression in different cultural environments. And the other one is how to find a sense of belonging while navigating between cultures. So today, digital media is breaking down geographical boundaries, allowing immigrants to feel connected to multiple places at the same time. So as a result, cultural belonging is becoming an important anchor for emotions and identity. It helps young immigrants reduce cultural conflict and maintain a stable sense of self. So I try to develop a dynamic model to analyze how social media influences this process. First, the calculation is a continuous process. Social media through algorithm recommendations and platform rules influences this process. And cultural belonging as a mediator also being influenced directly during this process. For example, if social media frequently recommends local content, it means strengthening the sense of belonging to the host culture. If it highlights cultural differences too much, it may weaken belonging and create a sense of exclusion. A person's sense of cultural belonging then influences how they express their cultural identity. Like strong belonging leads to a stable and well-integrated identity, but weak belonging may result in fragmented identity expression or a rejection to one culture. In summary, this dynamic model explains how social media shapes acculturation by influencing the cultural belonging and cultural identity. And in the methodology section, I turn these abstract concepts into measurable variables. I use a mixed method approach, combining quantitative and qualitative data to gain a more complete understanding. For example, I use the Vancouver Index of Acculturation and Belonging Skills to measure acculturation and sense of cultural belonging. Besides, I will also conduct life history and focus group to collect personal stories from young immigrants. This will help me analyze how they use social media and how it affects their acculturation and cultural belonging, and to explore how they express their identity on social media and how different platforms influence them as well. But since my research is still in progress, I may adjust my methods based on new advances. So I also hope to take this opportunity to listen to more suggestions to further optimize my research design and make it more scientific and feasible. So all in all, in the area of globalization and the digitalization, young immigrants are both inheritors of cultural traditions and the pioneers navigating new digital frontiers. This research seeks to answer a simple question: that social media deepen cultural division among young immigrants, or it offer a new possibility of belonging. The answer may not be black and white, but asking the question itself remains that the digital experience can have an impact the immigrant use the identity and security. So that's all that I want to share, and I'm glad to receive any advice and feedback. That's all. Thank you.
So, open the round of questions. Any language? Oh, in any language that we share.